think you could limit yourself to one dessert a week or 52 desserts in 1 year if you had to? Well, my junior year at the Air Force Academy, I actually limited myself to 52 desserts for the whole year, and I documented the whole thing. I don't know where that piece of paper is, but I want to find it so that I can know exactly what I was eating. My name is Austin, and this is the Bodies in Business podcast. And today we're going to talk about delayed gratification. So what is delayed gratification? Let's define that first before we go any further. Delayed gratification is the ability to resist an immediate reward in order to receive a more valuable benefit in the future. So the 52 desserts thing, I'll put a button in that. I'll finish what I was talking about. Is I was trying to really train hard as a rugby player. And I thought, you know what? I feel like I'm either eating dessert sporadically or I'm, indulging too much. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to limit myself to one dessert a week, and that's going to help me be a better rugby player. And, at the time, you're just trying to do things that you think might help. Well, it actually got, a lot of attention from my family, from my friends, because they'd be like, dude, what's your dessert this week? And it was interesting because just by putting some limit on myself, it actually gets a lot of recognition from other people because they're like, oh man, I couldn't eat one dessert a week, or that sounds stupid or something like that, right? Well, I ended up doing it, and I had the entire list written down. And throughout the whole time, I actually started thinking about, are pancakes a dessert, or is a Cliff Bar a dessert? So I kind of went through different phases of what's a dessert. But the whole point is delayed gratification. When we put some type of limit on ourselves of only having one dessert a week, we are basically what the definition says, we are resisting an immediate reward, because at the Air Force Academy, you can have dessert every night if you want to. They had dessert at Mitch's every night. So I was resisting that dessert because I wanted to be a better rugby player in the future. Now, did that make me a better rugby player? I don't know, but psychologically, I thought it was. So that's the interesting thing, is you don't necessarily know if you are resisting an immediate reward, if that is actually going to give you the beneficial future that you are looking for. But that's what your hope is. You hope that if you give up something in order to get something, that immediate resistance is going to help you get there. So the most famous experiment in this category of delayed gratification was a Stanford marshmallow experiment. And I'm going to read this to you so you'd understand what it is. The Stanford marshmallow experiment was a study in which young children were offered one marshmallow immediately, or two if they waited for a short period. It was designed to test delayed gratification and self-control. Early findings suggested that children who waited longer tended to have better outcomes later. But this is interesting. Newer research shows that family background, trust, and environment has played a major role in those decisions, which is interesting. And I'll get into that new research later down the road. But the whole delayed gratification piece was, and you can go watch videos on this, they would present a marshmallow to a kid, and they would say, hey, if you wait, 5 minutes, then you'll get 2 marshmallows. And so the kid would, they would leave the room, and the kid was like, waiting there, like hiding from the marshmallow and like trying not to see it and stuff like that. Some kids would just eat the marshmallow. Anyways, but the experimenter would say, if you wait, I'll give you another marshmallow. So if they waited the 5 minutes, they would get the extra marshmallow. So this is the interesting thing. And I think this goes to our biology because it, has very, very good correlations to that. So our biology is wired to avoid an unnecessary discomfort, to seek immediate rewards. So the immediate reaction to that, a kid would be like, I don't want to wait 5 minutes so that I can eat this marshmallow 5 minutes later. I want to eat it now. I don't want to put myself in any discomfort. That is the initial reaction in most people. And that's for adults as well. We see the hamburger, we want to eat the hamburger. We see the pizza, we see the nachos, we see cake, donuts, all these things, and we want to eat it immediately. Well, our biology is wired to avoid unnecessary discomfort and seek immediate rewards, which is why starting a tough workout can be so difficult, right? So we don't necessarily know the benefits of doing a tough workout. We think it's going to make us look better in the future, or it's going to make us feel better in the future. And resisting just sitting on the couch or eating a piece of cake instead of going to work out is going to be a tough decision. You're delaying the immediate gratification in order to do something a little tougher. So just think about that, right? And we're going to get into another topic that I think is interesting, because when I was thinking about this, I was like, delayed gratification versus immediate appreciation. And I think that's an interesting concept, because a lot of times we think, man, we're giving up so much so that we can make our future selves more or happier. Whereas in the moment, we need to appreciate the things that we have instead of thinking, man, like I'm missing out on something so that I can get something in the future. So we'll get into that a little later as well. During and after exercise, the brain releases chemicals involved in motivation, alertness, mood, including dopamine, norepinephrine, and endorphins. These effects can improve energy, focus, and mood for several hours out of a workout, after a workout. And that's important because a lot of times it takes just that first movement or getting your shoes on or getting moving to understand how beneficial the workout's going to be. Most people aren't going to get struck by a bolt of lightning motivation to get them wanting to work out. It's going to be something that has to be part of your routine usually. All right. So I'm going back to this. It says that creates a more powerful delayed gratification cycle. You accept discomfort now to earn a better physical and mental state afterward. So a lot of people don't realize this, but when you do a workout, a 15-minute HIIT workout, during the 15-minute HIIT workout, it's not going to be super comfortable. I remember when I played rugby sevens in the summertime, I would just be absolutely exhausted. I could barely breathe, and my legs were super heavy and all these other things, and I was just so exhausted. But I did those things during practice so that during a game I felt better during a game so I could score more tries or make more tackles, right? So when somebody's working out, just doing a 15-minute HIIT workout, you don't realize that after that workout, your dopamine levels actually rise and other things happen as well. Your epinephrine rises, your endorphins rise. And so your body actually is going to feel better after a workout, especially if your muscles were tensing and all these other things during the workout. It's pretty cool. All right. Over time, the brain begins to associate completing the workout with that reward. So people start to realize, man, after I do this workout, I feel better mentally and physically. And over a long period of time, you start to look better. And so when you look in the mirror, you're like, man, I even look better. I feel more confident. The exact dopamine response and the duration vary. So it is more accurate to say that positive neurochemical effects may last for hours rather than dopamine is always elevated for exactly 3 to 4 hours. And that's what I said in the original question was, man, does your dopamine rise for 3 to 4 hours after you're done workout? But a lot of different things rise after you work out. So that's something you need to understand is like, just because you do one workout doesn't mean you're going to look exactly the way you want to look. But from a biological sense, your body actually is pushing you to work out because it releases all of those neurochemicals to make you feel better, which is really cool. Now, that doesn't mean you're automatically going to flip the switch and be like, oh, like as soon as I work out, I know I'm going to feel rewarded and I want to do it all the time. Just not going to happen because sometimes we just didn't get great night's sleep, like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, we didn't get great sleep. So we're not going to want to work out all the time, but that's whole nother story. So why does delayed gratification matter in the wellness game? Well, wellness results are rarely immediate. And we just talked about that. One workout, healthy meal, or good night of sleep may not visibly change your life, but repeated choices eventually do, right? So when it comes to exercise, the immediate cost is the discomfort of getting up out of the couch or putting your clothes on or feeling sore the next day. But the future reward is having more strength, having more energy, being more confident. I can't do my fingers. Being more confident that you feel healthier, right? That you can do these things. From a nutrition standpoint, the immediate cost, meal prepping, grocery shopping, turning down certain foods that probably aren't super healthy for you, eating based on your goals rather than your cravings. These are the immediate rewards that you have to give up in the short term. But then over the long term, the future reward is better body composition, more stable energy, improved health, better athletic performance. All these things are something that you can look forward to if you're not always rewarding yourself in the immediate time frame, right? And then from a sleep standpoint, so we talked about exercise, nutrition, now sleep. The immediate cost of getting great sleep is ending the night early, not staying up super late and watching your favorite show, until 12, 1 a.m. Putting your phone away, right? Our phones are super addicting these days. And so you have to be willing to go, you know what? I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode and I'm not going to get on it. Missing entertainment or social activities. Everyone has FOMO these days that wants to be where the action is. People want to go out and spend time with their friends and never let the night end. I get it. When something's fun, you want that dopamine hit to continue and you never want to go to sleep because you're like, I'm having so much fun. I don't want this to end. Anyways, the future reward, if you go to bed earlier, is you're going to have a better mood. You're going to have improved focus, faster recovery, better decision-making the next day. These are the little things that if you do them over a long period of time, they have a huge effect on your ability to be healthier, right? To make healthier decisions. So to wrap up that section, we're going to ask, which area of wellness requires the most delayed gratification? Exercise, nutrition, or sleep? And I would say I'd point to nutrition because we are constantly being bombarded with decisions to eat foods all the time. And that is advertisements, advertisements, billboard, people asking us if we want to eat certain foods, food just being put out at work. This constantly, nutrition is the toughest one for sure, I think, because from exercise, you get a pretty good reaction of like, oh man, that was a great workout. I feel better after it. Or that was a tough workout. Man, I'm going to be sore the next day. Sleep, the same thing. If you get a great night's sleep and you feel better the next day, you're like, man, that was awesome. Nutrition is the most delayed gratification, tough portion of life out there, right? You eat every single day and you have to eat or you will not live. So trying to make healthy choices when it comes to nutrition is the toughest one. And, it just takes time. It takes planning. It takes understanding that you are going to be able to eat certain foods. You're not going to have to completely take them out of your diet. You will be able to eat cake. You will be able to eat cookies. You'll be able to eat fast food. That doesn't mean you have to completely get rid of those things. It's just limit the amount of times you do eat it. So I want to talk about a new concept that I was thinking about, and I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, is delayed gratification versus instant appreciation. And it hit me when I was thinking about this because a lot of times we feel like we're giving up so much in order to feel a reward for our future selves, whereas we need to appreciate the things we have now. And I need to do a better job of that. When I was thinking about this podcast, I was like, man, just being able to do this podcast, it doesn't have to be perfect, but having the capability, the time to be able to sit down and do this I'm super appreciative, right? I'm not super focused on, hey, I need to make a perfect podcast and I need to do this perfectly because I want to have thousands or millions of followers in the future. It's like, no, just be appreciative that you can do this, that this technology exists, that we can actually sit down and do this. And then from a health and wellness standpoint, I put down a bunch of things. Just waking up in the morning. Like some people don't wake up the next morning because, that happens. It's just part of life. So waking up in the morning is an amazing thing. Obviously, if you sleep deprived and you only got 1 hour of sleep, probably not going to wake up feeling super amazing and appreciative that you woke up. But if you got a good night's sleep, or if you are waking up in the morning, be like, man, I'm happy that I woke up this morning. Kissing my wife before starting the day. I go in and I give my wife kisses on the cheek after I'm done brushing my teeth. Don't kiss your wife or significant other before you brush your teeth. Some people do, not my choice. But anyways, and being like, you know what? I'm so happy that she's here right now. Like I could be off in a different country because I was deployed or like had to do a job somewhere, but I'm so thrilled that I get to kiss her on the cheek. Obviously delaying gratification of saying, you know what, I want to do other things with her. And if that's all I thought about was doing that stuff with her and I didn't really appreciate giving her kisses on the cheek, then I would probably be a little upset or a little, kind of depressed or sad. But I'm not, because I get to kiss her on the cheek. Eating nutritious breakfast. Obviously, we love pancakes and waffles and muffins and all these other things that taste amazing. But being able to eat a nutritious breakfast is something we should appreciate. We don't have to think, oh man, like I only appreciate and I only feel gratified or I only feel gratification when I'm eating those pancakes one time a week on the weekend or something, right? Like that's the mode we got to kind of get out of, or myself. I need to start appreciating the meals I eat because you get in these rhythms and you start to take them for granted. Walking in the morning. Some people aren't capable of walking. Like I know my knees aren't great, but I am still capable of walking in the morning. And I wish I could run. I wish I was able to, do sprints all the time, but that's just not the way my life is. But I'm appreciative of being able to go for a walk in the morning. Working on fly bodies. Fly bodies is not where I want it to be right now. I have big aspirations of where I want it to be, but I need to be appreciative that I actually started a company and I have the customers I have, and I'm working with those people and making them happy and making them better. And so the last one I'll say is talking to my parents on the phone. And this is a big one. Like a lot of times we're like, oh man, we're going to go on a trip with our family and I can't wait to do it. I get to talk talk with my parents on the phone every single day if I wanted, and being appreciative of like, oh man, like hearing their voice is great. So I know, this podcast is definitely focused on wellness, but like those types of things definitely play into your wellness, and being appreciative of the things we have in the moment and not always looking for the reward that feel like we're giving things up is important. So, and then there's also, I feel like I thought about delayed appreciation, where it's like when I was going through the Air Force Academy or going through basic training, I was like, man, this sucks. This is not great. This is not, but now I'm like, oh, I'm glad I went through that tough stuff. That made me a better person, I think. It made me realize that I can do tough things. And so delayed appreciation is also cool. Anyways, I thought that was a fun topic to talk about. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is delayed gratification new research. And I thought this was interesting. So the Stanford marshmallow test, they're saying, had more measurements about So with the Stanford marshmallow test, new research suggests that the marshmallow experiment measured more than a child's raw willpower. A much larger 2018 study found that children who waited longer still tended to perform somewhat better academically later in life. However, the relationship became much weaker after researchers accounted for factors such as family income, home environment, early cognitive ability, and parents' education. The test was also far less predictive of later behavior outcomes than the original findings suggested. Researchers have also shown that trust matters. Children are less likely to wait when an adult has previously broken a promise and more likely to wait when the environment appears reliable. I think that's huge. So like, obviously the Stanford marshmallow research study is super interesting because you're like, oh, which kids waited for that second marshmallow, and how did they fare later in life? But I thought that was super interesting, that trust matters. Like if you're a child that doesn't trust adults and what they say, you're going to be like, no, I'm going to eat this marshmallow now because I don't know if that second one's coming. Maybe this first one's going to get taken away. So I thought that was interesting. And as an adult, from the wellness perspective, maybe you're like, man, like, I don't know if another dessert's coming in my life. I'm going to eat this one now. Or I don't think that working out actually really helps me. So I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to, live my life the way it is because I haven't seen results in the past or something. So it's super interesting because what we trust has a big impact on what we actually do. So from the child's perspective, eating the first marshmallow may be a rational choice when there is no reason to believe a second one will actually arrive. So I thought that was super interesting. All right. So that's all I got, guys. I think it's very important that when we think about delayed gratification, you're thinking about, okay, instead of sitting on the couch, I'm going to go work out. Instead of eating this piece of cake, I'm going to eat an apple with some almond butter. Instead of always like staying out super late at night, I'm going to go to bed early because I know I'm going to feel better the next day. That's, in my mind, like good day-to-day delayed gratification. And if you do that on a consistent basis, you don't have to have these grandiose, like delayed gratification rewards that you're just like, oh, like I'm not gonna, I'm gonna do 75 hard and I need to do that in 75 days, then I'll feel good. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. Like in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th day, you can see that these things are going to be beneficial. So you don't have to feel like after 75 days, that's the reward, right? That's not I don't think that's a good way to approach it. And also thinking, okay, I get the opportunity to do this, and being appreciative is super, super helpful. So that's all I got, guys. I wanted to talk about delayed gratification because I know for myself, I tend to think I am giving this up so that I can have a future reward here. Whereas I need to be more appreciative of what I have. And that doesn't mean you can't strive for something bigger, but appreciating what you have will make life a little happier in the short term. And also you will feel more gratified in the short term instead of always feeling like you're giving something up to get something else. But it's trade-offs, decision-making, and understanding that you're making trade-offs for your health in the short term to have a better long-term future is also important. So that's all I got, guys. Hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Peace.